I met John 3 or 4 years ago. He was a quote-unquote volunteer. We were having a strategic planning meeting. I had never met him. The staff was, talking with some other people, and there was this guy on the other side of the table, this volunteer, and after like a full day with him in the room, actually I said to Kim, I said, okay, Kim, what's the story with this guy? Because he's not just a volunteer. As it turned out, he was the executive director in training, and he's got a great story to tell. John?
Good morning, everybody. I mean, you can imagine my surprise when Sam called and asked me to do this. I mean, the simple truth is, I'm the new guy in this industry. You have forgotten more than I will ever know about organizing successful events and trade shows. I don't know. Maybe he's mad at you. Nonetheless, the plan for this morning is I'm going to try to share what we're doing at ISSA to grow the value of our events to attendees and exhibitors alike, as well as to open our kimono and share a few of the lessons learned along the way. And then Sam and I are going to have a little chat. So since the late 1980s, I've been involved in some form or fashion in the building services industry. And the marquee event for our industry was, and is still today, the ISSA event held here in North America. It's always a vibrant show. And I never cease to walk around, my mouth in a perfect circle, marveling at all the wonderful things that comprise this industry. You guys have the slides? There you go. I think this is proof positive that all babies look like Winston Churchill. Anyway, it was a place for me to work, to learn, to see the new stuff, and to network like crazy. And I think that is the principal value that people receive today. And qualified, motivated, interested attendees provide more than sufficient value for our exhibitors. But like Sam said, as fate would have it a couple of years ago, I left the humdrum world of the Fortune 100 for the glamour and excitement of the trade show management and trade show industry. And don't get me wrong, I mean, like it's different, right? I mean, in the for-profit world, your achievement is clearly measured on the balance sheet and the P&L. And while surpluses are clearly favorable in our industry, organizations like ours are mission-driven. And our mission is to change the way the world views cleaning, to elevate this humble profession and help the people and the firms that work every day to protect and preserve human health and make sure they get the credit that they deserve. And with nearly a century behind us, I had an even more personal agenda, and that was that we don't screw it up on my watch. Besides, you can never be too rich, too thin, too good at golf. You can never be too good at running an event or a trade association. Now look, the odds were in my favor, thanks to my predecessor, John Garfinkel. By the way, I drew that beard on him. That's not what he looks like. Yeah, right. I inherited an undeniably successful trade association, cash in the bank, and an enormously talented staff, none more so than Kim Althoff, who many of you know. Kim runs our events in North America as well as our print media and does so with a passion for excellence that is not to be believed. And the results show that. And I like the fact that she kind of wears her crown at a jaunty angle. Do you notice that? The trouble was, though, like so many trade associations, we were addicted to the cash generated by a single event. our big North American trade show. And we'd also partnered with Amsterdam Rye on another remarkable show in the Netherlands that for 20+ years provided not only good optics, and by that I mean, increasing our perceived girth, but meaningful profits that were, for the most part, easily harvested. You see, Rye was the show organizer. All we had to do was fill up an American pavilion, kiss some babies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There were also smaller but promising shows in Istanbul and Mexico that we shared. So the rationale for this partnership was sound when it was created. And aside from the obvious financial benefits, it allowed us to stake out this territory as ours and discourage competition. And that really worked for a very long time. However, as the years wore on, we were finding that the partnership was actually getting in the way of our plans to reshape our future. We had a broad, and I mean really broad, mutual non-compete, and in the end, that proved to be an insurmountable hurdle for our partnership. So we did break up in a rather public way, and there were some harsh words, but in the end, we found our peace. Now, a little backstory to this was that our PR firm was dead set against the vitriolic press release that we created. If you Google it, you'll see a bunch of unflattering quotes from me about them. But hey, extreme times call for extreme measures. We had to get their attention. Our thesis was that by vilifying them in the media, we could feed into people's perceptions that they were the big, bad, for-profit guys who didn't care about exhibitors or attendees. They responded with the credible threat of injunction in the Dutch courts, so we pretty quickly got ourselves to the table in what could be referred to as a compromising mood. And we eventually found a way to partner, genuinely partner, by being apart, if you can grasp that. And here's how it shook out. So Amsterdam, this was the last year of our partnership in this show, and we worked very hard to make sure it was a success. We also created a brand new healthcare pavilion, and that promises to be a very nice future show feature. Istanbul, 100% theirs going forward. Mexico, 100% ours going forward. And I want to be clear, especially if anybody from Rye is in the audience, that they are great people. And the door is open for future cooperation. Hell, I wish my own divorce went this well. We are more than friendly today, and we would happily support each other's events. So freed from these bonds, we decided that if we were going to matter, and I mean really matter, we had to branch out and we had to grow. So through extensive research and focus group interviews, we came to the keen understanding that while we were, yes, nearly 100 years old, if we hoped to be around for the next 100 years, that meant that our members had to have the genuine support of the trade association in order to thrive in the chaos and disorientation in what is affectionately referred to as the new economy. There are many variations on that theme. You've read them, but they all lack essential definition. And in the end, we found our essential clarity. We developed a strategy to own the global cleaning community. Look, the formula is pretty simple. Oftentimes, it involves merging trade associations into our own. Along the way, we also acquired a couple of for-profit trade publications, and we did that so we could amplify our voice in a couple of key segments. But the key focus of our strategy was to get new events and get them under our umbrella, whether they were for-profit events or not-for-profit events. And I know you don't like that language, Sam, but live with it. You see, new events are huge for us. They serve as a platform for our other key trade association programs, things like training, education, certification, membership. And let's face it, trade shows are obviously pretty good value creators in and of themselves, judging by the juicy valuations that the publicly traded companies in this industry receive. So, how's it going? I think we're off to a decent start. Since 2016, our membership increased from roughly 7,000 member companies to over 9,000 member companies. We went from 79 to 103 countries. Revenues have increased 30%. Net assets, or cash, has increased 50%. And our US trade show is only 42% of our combined revenue, down from nearly 70% in 2016. But you know what the best part is? Our super talented, super dedicated staff more than doubled from 36 to 75 employees. So, who jumped in the boat? I'll run through them real quick. Cleaning and Maintenance Management and the Cleaning Management Institute. We purchased these from Grandview Media, and we got a bunch of value. A world-renowned training institution, a much-beloved publication, and a daily news feed targeted at end users in our industry, prime real estate for our exhibitors. Clean Facts Magazine also purchased from Grandview Media, the voice of the carpet cleaning and restoration industry. ARCSI, the residential cleaning contractors. This is a huge addressable market, and Amazon just entered the space with Cleaning Management Institute as their exclusive training partner. So did Airbnb, so we're on trend. BFG ICMA, a British training institute as well as an association of European equipment manufacturers. CSSA, basically the ISSA of Canada. IEHA, the all-important end-user community, especially healthcare and hospitality. NCSA, basically the ISSA of Australia. SCREA, the carpet and restoration folks of Australia, kind of a tuck-in. WBA, a workload benchmarking entity. We kind of feel the need to control standards in our industry, and we do not today. So this was a very good start. Cleantex, the South African trade show, and this is our first meaningful foray into Africa. Trade Press Media, a new annual show in the Northeast and a brand new partnership with Forum Media. Pulira, the trade show arm of the Italian Trade Association with its main show in Verona, and this one was a gem. It's as large as our show in the US and included a host of satellite shows around the world. CHC, a joint venture, it's a Hong Kong newco designed to provide training, certification, and a reasonable way to manage the risk of doing something important in China. I think we're a slide ahead, guys. Cleaning for a Reason. This one is a 501c3 charity. And I do want to point out that this is the orange in the bunch of bananas. Our foundation even got into the act with the acquisition of Cleaning for a Reason. Cleaning for a Reason presented an opportunity for us to change the game for our foundation. It's a national charity that cleans the homes of women with cancer for free. And at last count, they have served over 30,000 households. And while the cause is obviously so essential in its own right, Cleaning for a Reason is a media darling and has been featured in hundreds of print, TV, and radio campaigns. So I know that the cause marketing aspect of this is not lost on you. It's our view that cleaning as a charity represents the next big pillar of giving. And it's a really good way for us to bring positive focus to our industry. And yes, you should all be contributing. Actually, it makes me cry just to think about how important this work is. So new offices were established to support our strategy. In addition to Northbrook, which is our intergalactic headquarters, we have offices in Albany and Columbus, Ohio. Globally, we're now in Toronto, Shanghai, Sydney, and Frankfurt. And by the way, can you guys see the Toronto sign? Can you see what it says? Yes. Yes. So my assistant found this, and I think it's awesome. I don't know if it's the best like Photoshop ever, if it really exists, but do you get the reference? What's the reference? Shape of Water was filmed there, so that fish sex movie. So as I said before, the product of the strategy is to secure new events. So here is a quick breakdown of where we are today. All right, so 2018, the ISSA show in North America. This year, Dallas, I'll touch on it later. ISSA Cleaning and Hygiene Expo, Australia. We do Sydney in the even years, Melbourne in the odd years. Clean India Pulira in Mumbai. This is a big developing market for our industry, and cleaning is becoming a huge governmental and societal priority. Pulira, Mediterranea, Catania. It's in the south of Italy, so you've got to keep your hand on your wallet, but something of a distributor show. And now for 2019, we have the big ISSA show in North America. We go back to Las Vegas. It's our every other year place, and we always perform well there. The ISSA show in Mexico is a new co-location with Expo Med, a major medical show. Canada, the announcement is forthcoming, but it's going to be another really nice co-location for us with a major new partner. The suspense is killing you, isn't it? Yeah. South Africa. This is the inaugural year for Cleantech's Johannesburg in partnership with E2's Cleantech show. And Africa is a strategic must for our industry. Where are we? Clean Buildings Expo, that's in Baltimore. It's the inaugural year of our Northwest foray in conjunction with Trade Press Media's NMFT show, and again, as I said before, Forum Media. Pulira, Verona, Italy. This was the crown jewel. 16,000 attendees strong and increasingly international. Hygienalia Pulira is in Madrid. It's a regional show, but we're really happy to have it. Pulira Asia Pacific. This one was in Bangkok, but we are testing new locations for this event. And a bunch of traveling forums designed to sort of, raise our profile in these off years. And we're doing that in the USA, Europe, Asia, and South America. Now, I should point out that in many cases, we don't own the entire event. And sometimes we do, don't get me wrong, but we often take less than 100%. And in doing so, try to create that alignment of interest that is required to form genuine partnership. And for those of you keeping score at home, we never take less than 50%. That's really important. Industry folks, especially the big independent organizations will recognize, thank you. The big independent, I was told you would interrupt me. Yeah, I was told that. Especially the big independents will recognize that many of the events we're kind of pounding our chest about are by any measure smaller events, not the kind of fish harvested by the titans of our industry. But there is a crucial difference. We are not a for-profit organization, and we never try to forget we are mission-driven. And our mission is to change the way the world views cleaning. And each of these transactions represents, and this is key, meaningful potential to fulfill our mission on a vastly accelerated basis. So, how does this work? I will try to explain with the help of Julia Child. Look, there's something of a recipe, but like Julia Child, sometimes we go off the rails and have a little too much wine. So think about the current state, right? Unlike the remarkably successful organizations represented in this room, chances are if you are a trade association, that has an affiliation with a trade show somewhere in the world, you're probably doing okay, but you're not setting the world on fire. The value proposition that we offer is actually quite seductive to organizations like that. We tell them up front that we don't want them to become ISSA. We want them to become the very best version of who they are. The fact that we have substantial liquidity and are anxious to invest in their good ideas probably doesn't hurt either. We tell them, if you like your name, keep it. If you like our name, use it. You want to combine them? So be it. And also, this is the part that you're going to love. If they have money in the bank, they keep that too. Any money we earn together stays in the partnership. And we never take it out unless we both agree to do so. So in preparing for this discussion, Sam noted correctly, in my view, that we've done nothing but borrow a page from the ancient Romans, who used the strategy of local self-determination to build their global empire. I'll take that, Sam. But remember, Matthew 22, return to Caesar what is Caesar's. You know, it's all got to make financial sense, right? So this is the best part. You can almost see the big independent executives like twitching, right? I mean, I get it. I used to be like you, right? The truth is we don't need to make distributions, and we sure don't have shareholders to answer to. But we do have a board, and their support is essential. Now, obviously, that's switched when we have a partner that is a for-profit entity, and we definitely make distributions in that case. I think we're actually a really solid for-profit partner. Sam also noted in our prep that we haven't done a lot with the big independents. And I would say, Sam, that, you know, while that's true, we sure hope to. And it's just, you know, we're not a net seller, and they are definitely net buyers. So it doesn't kind of look like a natural fit up front. But I would argue that the cooperation can take many forms, you know, new events, co-location, et cetera. And I am absolutely sure that it will. We have a lot to learn from the big guys, and the world is full of opportunity. So in that spirit, I would officially like to invite the independents who are present today to swipe right and check us out. We would love to partner with you. You know, go for a drink, wink, wink, right? So back to our approach. I know what you're thinking. This guy is the worst negotiator in the world. He gives away the store. Okay, it's true. I mean, I want to be known as the worst negotiator in the world, at least in our community. And I set out to prove it every single day. But I want it to be clearly understood that at ISSA, we are the folks to call if you have an unrealized dream for your trade association, publication, and most importantly, for your event. So, you know, just like in the for-profit world, the biggest hurdle you have to cross is earning the trust of existing ownership. And not surprisingly, in the association world, the trust of the CEO, president, executive director, and the board. And as you might imagine, you know, that's not always easy. Trust takes time. There is no cookie-cutter approach. You know, each deal is custom. You know, the transaction terms, and in particular, the specific goals and key metrics for the partnership must be negotiated. But what really helps to improve our conversion rate is when one of the organizations we've already partnered with freely shares with our new prospects how glad they are that they partnered with us. And you can actually get the flywheel effect going where the merged entities refer us to other people in the industry that they want to have join in. But, you know, don't judge us too harshly. I mean, aside from the couple of magazines we bought, relatively small dollars, we haven't paid a penny for any of our new equity interest. And that's before you add in the cash and the property we received, and it was substantial. And we still have a pipeline that's quite extensive, but what I'm most grateful about is that the staff is now developing a robust list of targets on their own and actually closing deals. So, the other parts of this stuff are all the mechanical aspects of any transaction, due diligence, contracts, employment agreements, et cetera. The staff, accountants, and lawyers take care of all that stuff. And yes, there are occasional complications, but none has provided sufficient complexity to stop a deal we want to do. The biggest challenge we've faced is actually internal. Certainly early on, and less so now, and that is getting our staff to truly embrace the new people and the new markets, and to understand that they are now an essential part of us, and that we are here to serve them, and not that they are here to serve us. You can just picture, right, each of the headquarters functions sending out smug edicts about our requirements to the newly merged entities, and in doing so, not very subtly demanding compliance. The trouble with this approach is that it does not only tend to crush the spirit of the new entity, it has the dual effect of turning me into a liar, because I promised them autonomy. So look, this clearly gets better with practice. And we've actually developed a process to ensure integrations are gentle and that it starts and ends with the needs of the merged entity. We want to preserve, not destroy, the voice of the customer in these new segments. So the other annoyance came from our auditors. And these are the guys that want to ascribe a lot of intangible value to the assets that we acquired. And I regularly fight with them about this. Again, for the accounting types, it's typical for any transaction to do a valuation of the merged entity and place a fair value on the assets acquired. Cash and property is easy. Trickier are the intangibles, things like brands, member lists, goodwill, and whether or not they actually belong on the balance sheet. Now, I'm all for GAAP accounting, but we were able to argue successfully that not only was there an absence of materiality in these transactions, but by artificially, in our view, ascribing inflated value to the intangibles, it actually served to distort our balance sheet. And I don't know many auditors that want to sign up for distorting the balance sheet. We just got our clean opinion again, but at some point, I know I'm going to have to give on this one, particularly as our transactions get larger. So the final frustration I will share is how significant the lag is between the time it takes to agree on something and the time it takes to actually do something in this industry. We call it association speed. So to speed things up, we did not do these deals on a linear basis. Borrowing, again, from the military analogy, we opened up several fronts simultaneously and learned as we went. One deal informs the next. And we did determine fairly early on that we can't let tradition, much less accountants, lawyers, or regulators, dictate the pace of change in our industry. Neither should you. The rest of the lag problem, as I have described it, is just the rhythm of this industry. Agree to do something today, and you're lucky to see it put into action in 2020. It's remarkable. So you don't get the wrong idea. It's not only about M&A. We really felt as though we had to shake things up at home, too. By the way, this guy's enjoying that a little too much, don't you think? As a result of that perspective, we re-envisioned a bunch of internal programs as well. Lobbying, data analytics, our Young Executive Society, even our board composition, but none more so than our big US trade show. And besides, Kim would crucify me if I didn't talk about it a little bit. It's the week of October 29th in Dallas, Texas, and we really switched it up this year. Dallas has to be one of the coolest cities in America today. It's got a vibrant urban scene, and it's just dynamic. I think it's one of the coolest cities. And it's our first time there in more than 15 years. So we're also replacing a bunch of stuffy, invitation-only events with a bunch of wide-open, everybody-included parties. Our new Tuesday through Thursday exhibit pattern accommodates education on Monday, followed by an exciting Topgolf event with the proceeds benefiting Cleaning for a Reason. Interestingly, you know, capital markets have rediscovered our industry, and a ton of money is pouring into the development of technology and advanced research. And as such, there's a ton of new innovation in the cleaning industry. You wouldn't think so, but it's actually massive. And we're going to highlight that on Tuesday and throughout the week. At the end of our exhibit hours on Wednesday, we are hosting a blowout block party. We're calling the ISSA Backlot Bash in conjunction with the Omni Hotel, you know, and the restaurants, if you've been there, right outside of the convention center, right in front of the center and on the lawn outside is going to be our party. It's an outside party. I can't wait for it. Thursday, President George Bush will address our members. I actually get to interview him. And the Innovation of the Year will be awarded. I do want to offer special thanks, by the way, to the folks at GES who just kicked off a very interesting experience design workshop at our headquarters. And that is sure to help us see our show in a new light in the years ahead. Sam, I think I'm just about out of breath. Would you like to join me?
I'd be happy to. Well, thank you very much for an excellent presentation.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay. We're now going to do our first set of polling questions. For those of you that came in to access your second screen, on your badge, there's a PIN number. Please use the PIN number to get into the second screen. We're going to ask our first question. Everyone participate, please. Answer for your largest or most important show. And all of the sponsors in the room, you can answer if you're confident that you know one of your top customers' answers as well. So please answer the first question. Do you believe that associations should use mergers and acquisitions to grow? You see the different options. Please answer the questions. Wow, look how fast this wonderful second screen is.
That is amazing.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
This is real time. Okay, well, I think we can see that there's some, what's it called, low-hanging fruit here. It would be interesting next year to ask the same question to see just how many people you've inspired to do this. Okay, the next question is, for those of you that you have done it, so please only answer if you have done one, how many have you done? Please answer the question, A, B, C, or D. Only those that are already doing M&A, how many have you done? Wow, there we go. Okay, all right. So again, to repeat, and John does it in such a low-key manner, in 2 years, the number that you guys did was 14 in 2 years. That's pretty outrageous. Okay, so many of them are relatively on the small side. Okay, so PSAV, well done on the polling. Thank you so much. And I think now we are going to talk about what? Misery loves company because you all hate doing mergers and acquisitions?
No, I think it's pretty obvious, you know, that the strategy works. Misery loves company.
Okay, it does work. All right, I appreciate that. Okay, so now we have a couple of minutes for Q&A for John. I'm going to kick it off because I can. John, for 20 plus years, you came to shows as an exhibitor, as an attendee, as a consultant, and you look like Winston Churchill. Okay. Then 2 years ago plus, you moved into the executive director slot, the boss of a very successful organization that ran shows. What was the biggest surprise to you after going to hundreds of shows as a participant to be on the other side of the curtain?
I mean, it's mind-boggling, Sam, the amount of detail that you have to pay attention to. I mean, literally, I don't know what we would do without you, Kim. The number of decisions that have to be made to create a great experience, and the level of detail is incredible. That's the first thing. Second thing is the importance of partners. I mean, we rely very heavily on our partners, and they are terrific partners. I suppose the third thing, Sam, would just be the level of risk associated with doing an event. I mean, you plan to do all this stuff, but you have no idea if it's going to work. So I'm amazed. I'm amazed that it works as well as it does. Or what? I mean,
all right. Let's see. Do we have any? Thank you. Any other questions? There we go. Right here. Could we get a microphone over there for Mr. Dobson, quickly? Yep. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead. Please say who you are and ask your question.
Where? Ellen. Remember me? Yeah, Rick Dobson with Ungerbach. I'm just curious, as you expand your portfolio and the activities of your organization, how do you prevent your staff from getting burned out?
Good question.
Yep. You know, I'm asked that question very often, most particularly by my staff. No, I mean, look, I mean, we're stretching. Yeah, we understand that, you know, and I just tell people, look, if you find you got too much to do, do less of something, right? Figure out what's important, do that. But we're building our staff rapidly. We're probably hiring 3, 4, 5 people a month right now. So we're trying to stay ahead of it. My board freed some reserve money, so we're not even worried about profitability in the short term, because we don't want to burn out our staff. But we have a window, you know, and we're not going to let effort, or the effort required to slow us down from meeting that window.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Okay, well, I'll ask over here, please. Yes.
Yeah, we have
a question from the 800.
Screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second screen.
How did candidate organizations react when you approached them?
How did the organizations react when you approached them?
We've never approached an organization. They've always come to us. And I think there's a reason for that. You know, we're perceived as a safe place, you know, and the fact that I think we've done a bunch now will increase that. So yeah, we've never called on anybody. They've come to us.
What was your primary selling point in approaching these organizations?
I think it was kind of like I said earlier. I mean, it's really about self-determination, and then use our resources to accelerate your growth, your plan. It's about them, right? It's not about us.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask the last question.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's a two-part question. What is your window? You said we have a window, so we're going to staff up because we have a window. What is the window?
So if our strategy is to own the global cleaning community, I can't take 20 years to do that, right? We got to do it in a reasonable amount of time. And while we've made progress, there's a ton of work to do, Sam. So, I mean, the stated goal we have was to double everything in 5 years. I think we're on track for that. But there's a lot of great countries that have events that we need to participate in. So I think the window for accumulation will last another 2, 3, 4 years. And we're not really worried about integration right now.
All right, well, I think we should get John back here every couple years for in-progress reports. Thank you.